Hey guys, it's Brian and Walt on one side or the other. I don't know which. We are checking out the uh, Inferno by Oliva. I believe this is an exclusive to Famous Smoke Shop. Uh, yes, and it's the Robusto size. It's a 5 by 50, 450 MSRP. Though I think they have a special on it right now in anticipation of us reviewing it, of course. Um, and I believe it's a Nicaraguan puro. It does list that. You know what? I'm going to read the advertising copy since I've got the floor. Alrighty, let's see here. Inferno by Oliva cigars are one of the newest additions to our list of fine Nicaraguan cigars. Layers of dark, savory Ligero tobaccos cultivated in Nicaragua's most fertile growing areas prime the pump of this full-bodied blend, swaddled in a naturally dark Nicaraguan Habano wrapper. Ooh, damn. Despite its potency, the smoke is velvety smooth, with a complexity that will delight you even more than the affordable price. Discover this mind-blowing value by ordering a box or 5-pack now. You will be surprised. That's it.
And Will is what, in all caps?
Yes, Will is in all caps. Will. Will. So yeah, that covers. I think that covers all the basics. What are you getting from this? Are you looking it over, doing anything with it?
Well, I'm kind of looking at it. It's a little rough. I've got a bit of a patch about halfway down in this general area. Actually, two of them. But, aside from that, it doesn't look too bad. The, the patches are applied on the outside. The color's a little off. They're really apparent. Aside from that, it looks to be constructed pretty well. The cap is nice and neat. The cigar doesn't feel lumpy or anything like that. It feels nice and full, like full of tobacco. Construction wise,
Yep.
aside from those two patches, it looks good.
Cool, cool. I've gone through a couple of these, and I've not seen any issues with any of them. I haven't seen cracks. I haven't seen patches, and I usually, if there's going to be patches on any cigar in a box, usually that's the one I get. This one's not as veiny as some of the ones I've seen. It's got. I was on the tour and during to Nicaragua with Drew Estate, and on the way we stopped in the Oliva factory, and I believe that's where I saw them crushing the veins. If you've ever seen that, they actually take some sort of a metal tube and they actually smash the larger ones. There's some of that in here. You can see where they kind of selectively, and I don't know if it would come through, but you can kind of selectively see. Yeah, kind of
Mm-hmm.
see you see it, but you don't actually feel it because they mashed the hell out of it. It's interesting that they only did part of that vein, and you could feel the rest of it. But mine's solid. Not
Well, is that
really stuck anywhere, but
is that practice common everywhere? I've seen Sam Lucia used to do it all the time. The Sam Lucia replacement, Brian Sholey, does it at events. They all stretch the wrapper out and then sort of smush it with that metal tube. Is it just
this
an Oliva thing, or does everyone do that?
this is the first time I've seen it actually being done that I can recall. And when I think back on it, Oliva might be one of the few that I've actually ever seen their cigars have these crushed veins. I think I've seen it elsewhere, but doesn't seem like it's as common as you'd expect, and I'm thinking it's part of the way they keep the costs down. Some places would say those veins are too big. We're done with it. We're not using that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'd take it and say, hey, yeah, it's a vein. Who cares? We'll just crush it. It'll be fine. It won't stick out or whatever.
We'll economize it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey, this is a $4.50 stick. So I mean, what are you gonna do? It's not gonna be like Davidoff level of perfection type of stuff with the rolling.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I'm all for cutting corners, to keep costs down on a house blend. It's all part of the game.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In the just sniffing the thing a little bit, I've gotten a pretty standard, kind of a little pungent compost. I get a little chocolate out of it, and I get some sweetness out of the cold draw generally.
Yeah, it kind of tastes a little like raisins, I think.
Yeah, like a raisin or a molasses or. maybe a little bit of chocolate in there or something like that. There's some a little bit of a darker feel to it. I'm gonna go ahead and light mine up here. Unless you had anything else you want.
No, I think I think lighting these cigars is long overdue at this point.
Yeah, are we like 8 minutes into this yet?
Oh,
Set a new
probably.
record. All around the country, iPods are turning off.
So these cigars were provided to us by Hayward over at Famous Smoke Shop a few weeks ago. We're just getting to it now. We have this, and we have, what is the other one? The Vindicator that we're planning on reviewing in the same
Yeah, I
format.
think so. Yeah, Vindicator. Hold on a second. Let me turn on a fan. Just realized it got all smoky up in here. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm gonna go hoarse.
You know, one of the kind of interesting things about this cigar is that Famous was very proud of the fact that Oliva is making it. You know, they're using the name in the copy. It's Inferno by Oliva, and that's kind of strange. A lot of companies don't necessarily promote the brands that make the cigar for them. So that kind
Yeah,
of caught me off guard.
kind of hide it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. Yeah, they kind of hide it, and that's the thing. Remember the whole famous, was it the Nicaraguan 3000s that were out there that people were talking about? Oh, it's made by Oliva. It's like they were like, no, not necessarily. Might be, not necessarily. So I'm kind of used to seeing that kind of treatment of stuff. But yeah, it's Inferno by Oliva. Now Oliva doesn't lead off the names, so um, I guess it is some kind of signifier that this is ours and not Oliva's. But it's there.
So, what were your initial impressions when I told you that I was going to have Famous send you a 5 pack of Inferno? Name alone, based off of Famous sending a house blend, but what was going through your mind when you heard that?
I it was one of those things like, wow, they're running low on names. I mean, I was surprised that was still available for a cigar name. Actually, I was part of it. It's like nobody else picked up Inferno already. That's a little bit of a surprise, but I kind of assumed it'd be fuller bodied, but I figured like all those names, they never live up to the name. They never crush your skull like they seem to imply they will. I figured, actually, I kind of figured about what we got. I just didn't realize it would be by Oliva. So, what do you think?
I really didn't know what to think. I don't really even look at the Famous catalog anymore. I still get them, but I usually toss them really quickly. They do a
He's
lot of.
lying, Famous. He's lying. He looks at him all the time. We love you. Please advertise.
No, but they do a lot of their own stuff. It's I don't want to trash them or anything, but it's kind of like walking into Walmart. They have everything by everyone, but they have more Sam's Choice or whatever it is than anything else. And when I see a lot of their own branded kind of stuff, I just kind of pass it by because I don't recognize a lot of the names. I'm not familiar with it, and when this cigar showed up, I really wasn't quite sure what to expect. It's a house blend. It's got an odd sort of a name to it. It's got a really, I don't want to say kind of gimmicky band, but it didn't excite me. I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't set the bar very high. And I was pleasantly surprised when I lit the first one up.
Yeah. Speaking of lighting the first one up, what are your initial impressions right off the bat?
Well, it's nice and powerful. It definitely hits you in the sinus. I'm getting a little bit of a woody flavor through the sinus, or a woody tone or aroma, however you want to describe it, through the sinus. And just a really powerful sort of thick layer across the palate, and no real discernible flavors at this point aside from what I'm getting through the sinus, through the retrohale.
Mine's coming through kind of. I mean, maybe a little smokiness, but it's kind of almost a dark chocolatey type of thing without any of the edges of that a dark chocolate would have. A dark chocolate would have like a little bitterness to it, but it's like it's there, but it's, I don't know, just there. It's like it's high, it's hanging out, hanging low. So, a little touch of sweetness to it too, and I don't know. That's about it. I mean, it's kind of rich, kind of lays heavy on you. It's a nice beginning.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of power through the sinus. I don't know whether it's a combination of spice and pepper, or whether it's primarily spice, but it's really heavy through the sinus. I like it.
Yeah, some spice. Yeah, definitely. It lets you know. It lets you know it's there. Well, I think unless you have something else to add, we should smoke this a little farther down, and come back in and see how it's going. At, I don't know, a third of the way in.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, we're into the second third of our Inferno by Oliva, and I've got to say, so far it's going really well. Um, as I said earlier, I didn't have like super high expectations for this, but it's really delivering flavor wise. It's got lots of smoke, good solid body to it. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. It's burning well. I had to set it down for a few minutes and rush out and get a refill for my drink. And still going. I mean, I wasn't gone for long, but it's still burning. It's been burning pretty evenly. The ash has been really solid, really compact, kind of light. I mean, in terms of flavor, just a lot of rich flavor. I'm getting a little bit, and I noticed this before with some of the other ones. I think I'm getting a little bit of the cinnamon I've picked up before. There's just a touch, a really small touch of sweetness. Not as much as I've gotten in some, but more than others. So it's in there. But I get a lot of savory, meaty type of flavors out of it. I get some chocolate out of it, and it varies. But sometimes I get some smokiness out of it. Now the smokiness seems like it's kind of backed off. The charred was kind of backed off once I hit about the beginning of the second third. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree that woody tone that I'm getting, it's getting a lot more subtle at this point, and I'm getting a lot more of that savory kind of flavor. That thick, meaty, charred kind of coating on the palate. A little bit of saltiness as well, and again that woody flavor that seemed so dominant earlier on has really sort of faded into the background. It makes for a nice flavor combination. I really like the way the flavor, the body, and all that is working together.
If there wasn't that little bit of sweetness in it that I'm getting, and before in other smokes it's almost had like a vanilla note to it, I'm not really getting that as much this time. But if it weren't for that little bit of sweetness, I'd want to pour A1 sauce on it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of like that. It's like I need a fork and a knife for this thing.
Yeah, and it's burning really well too. I haven't had to sit mine down for too long, but it's got a nice even burn. It's got that nice little conical sort of shape to it. The ash is very neat. I've got two fairly large chunks in the ashtray. Nothing in my lap, which is always a giant plus. And smoke volume is good. It's nice and thick. It coats the palate well. It's the type of smoke that's easy to get through your sinus. Sometimes these cigars tend to be a little airy, and I find it really difficult to retrohale that type of smoke. But when it's really dense, it's completely effortless. It just pours through the sinus, and you get all that aroma coming through.
Yeah. Oh, I got a little extra flavor in that one. Yeah, I have to agree. It's smooth. It's smoother than you might expect for something that I think has the power that this has. So, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but it seems like a no-brainer to compare this to the Oliva Serie B. I think I suspect that is kind of what they were going for with this so far. I mean, there's definitely differences in the flavor, but that same kind of smooth but bold flavor profile, I think that's what they're going for here. I mean, what do you think? Am I nuts, or do you think I'm onto something
No,
there?
I think this has very similar, like the V. I always get sort of a bright kind of overtone out of that one, and I'm getting that out of this cigar as well. It's not as bright, but it is very similar. I can definitely see where you're drawing comparisons between the two, because that just sort of that bright front of the palate kind of thing. I'm getting both. I'm getting that out of both of those cigars, this as well as the V.
That last retrohale, I got that like nice hit of both a kind of a sweet cinnamon syrupy type of a little bit. There's some definite sweetness to this that I'm getting this time, and it seems like it varies from experience to experience, but I think there is something to that in the middle third. Um, yeah,
It makes me wonder if there is a similar component between this and the V. Um, I don't think it's the wrapper because the V wrapper seems to be a bit thinner. It seems to be a bit more fragile. This seems thicker and it just seems like more of a hardy sort of wrapper. So I'm wondering maybe if the binder is similar between the two, since Famous doesn't list the binder information for the Inferno. I'm not quite sure what it is in the V, but
could be.
I'm just kind of curious if it's maybe it's the same leaf, different priming kind of a thing.
You getting an pepper out of it? I'm starting to get a little bit of that, but I'm not sure if it's because I've been puffing out a little bit more and it's heating up. But I'm starting to get a little of that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's starting to come through.
Yeah, my thought is it's most likely going to increase as we go at this point, but possibly with the return of some smokiness, some charred wood. But I'm not really getting that hardly at all. So, um, very interesting so far.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting second third. So let's end it on a positive note. We'll be back one more time. We'll take a look at the final third, wrap up the cigar, and see how it compares.
Alrighty, hey guys, we're back. Final third. Um, the bands have come off, and so have the gloves. Actually, I don't really have anything really mean to say about it, but I kind of wished I would, so there was some reason to say that. What do you think, Walt?
I agree. There's really nothing negative to say about it. It's smoking really well. Lots of smoke volume. It's nice and dense. Coats the palate well. It's a neat burning cigar. The ash is holding a nice, clean shape. All in all, it's a good, solid cigar with solid flavor, and it's got a fair price point. So I don't think there's anywhere we can beat this up.
Yeah, yeah, and you were saying I think based upon your experiences so far, and I think you've smoked all of them at this point. You were thinking about buying more, right?
Yeah, this is my last one, and I've enjoyed these quite a bit. I think they go really well with coffee, and I'm on the fence about ordering some more just so I can pair them with coffee and smoke them in the evening. For the money, I think it's a solid buy.
I mean, yeah, I could see myself buying more of these. I mean, I say that about a lot of stuff, and I do mean it, but the problem is I've got a shitload of cigars, so I don't know. I don't buy a lot of things these days, and not to be a dick or anything like that. It's just like I don't have any room to put them, and my wife's about to kill me as it is with everything I do have. But I'd consider risking it for this. I mean, it's good. It's solid. It's an interesting tweak. I would say, kind of on the Series V kind of profile. So, and I like those. Those are nice. I haven't smoked many of them in a while, but I do enjoy them when I do. So, um, mine's been burning well. Uh, yeah, there's really nothing to say bad about it. Really, it seems like it's well constructed. I haven't run into any issues with any of them I've smoked. I think some minor unevenness with maybe one of them, and that was about it. I mean, that's about as far as you can go with it.
Well, that makes for a really short final third, but I don't think there's anything to add to it. So,
Were you getting anything different in terms of flavor?
well, the pepper has picked up a little bit more, but that seems to be the only change I'm noticing. That woody aroma is seems to be completely gone. There's still a lot of power through the sinus. I'm still getting that savory kind of flavor,
Yeah.
and just through the sinus that spice or that pepperiness is picking up. But that's about it.
I'm getting a good helping of pepper myself, and not so much chocolatey anymore, but meaty. Savory. Savory is a great word for the cigar. That's definitely something that's something that was sprinkled all throughout my notes of the previous ones. But the meaty and some pepper to it. Not really getting much of the smokiness anymore, but yeah. So it's interesting. It's definitely some transitions from third to third. So it's not just you know a cheap house blend that tastes like the same thing throughout. There's something going on there. There's some complexity to it. So I think it works well. I mean, if I think it's a no-brainer. If you like the Series V, I can't see why you wouldn't like these. And I'm not saying buy those instead, but I think you should give them a shot.
I agree.
Well, it looks like we're gonna close it out quickly this time, and everybody's saying hallelujah. So take us home, Walt. Take us home.
Thanks for watching, and maybe we can splice in Jerry right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
we'll let Jerry close it out, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. If nothing else happens, then we didn't get Jerry. That would be no surprise. Oh yeah, I said it. Come on. I said it. Come on. Long fucking ashes.